Michael Jackson, the king of pop music, born on 29th August 1958. He died at the age of 50 on 25th June 2009 of cardiac arrest. Michael Jackson said, "The greatest education in the world is watching the masters at work." Michael Joseph Jackson was an American singer, songwriter and dancer, dubbed the King of Pop. He is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century, one of the greatest entertainers in the history of music. His published personal life has become a global matter and a figure of over 4 decades. Jackson's career was rewarded with 13 Grammy Awards as well as the Grammy Legend Award and Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, 6 Brits Award, 5 Billboard Music Awards and 24 American Music Awards. He currently holds 12 Guinness World Records. He is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, becoming one of only a few artists to be inducted twice. Jackson was also inducted into the National Museum of Dance and Hall of Fame, making him the first and currently only recording artist to be inducted. He was also inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Jackson was also inducted in 2014 into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame along with his father Joe Jackson. He was honored by 2 presidents of the United States of America. Michael Jackson, the king of pop music, said the greatest education in the world is watching the masters at work. The greatest education. Watching. Watching means observing. Observing means becoming conscious. These are the stages. First becoming conscious, then observation comes, then watching happens of its own. It gets imprinted in every cell of the brain, and the time comes, answers flows of its own. It strikes without thinking. To watch the greatest education, the greatest music person who can create just a small thin boy in the center of America, in the center of the world. His color was different, but he never looked at the color. He never looked at the size. But that much of hard labor he must have gone through to use the term the greatest education. All the books he kept aside. He knows bookish knowledge is not practical knowledge. He must have listened to all the preaching, and he understood all the preaching has got no value unless the hardest labor, where he can roar like a 1,000-man warrior, a small boy who could shake the whole world by roaring like a 1,000-man warrior. He must have been a warrior in the previous birth, a real warrior who worked very hard to shake the world. He walks in, he could create millions and millions of people to walk behind him, to listen to him. The whole world stops to listen to him. The whole world stops to hear his music. Can you believe? Look at the size. Look at from where he came from. Look at his color. All that never bothered. You are unnecessarily getting bothered by looking at others. The greatest education is look into you, Michael Jackson said. In another one of his quote, he said, "Look into you," like how Ramana Maharshi said, "Ask who am I, Swami Vivekananda, rise." All that he understood. He must have picked up from here, because he said, watch the masters. He must have been watching the masters, what they said. And when he put it into practice, he knew. Even at the age of 50, can you believe? There is no fat at all. Only a skeletal muscle, and he can move and walk and moonwalk like any other teenage boy or girl. Such was the amount of stress he has put into. After he became very famous, when he was in the teenage itself, he was very, very famous. He made a lot of money. Then he could have put on weight, huge weight, and could have sat like a big boss, a big belly. But look at him. He understood to open his mouth. The greatest education in the world is watching, he said. Watching you by practicing. He didn't go to the yoga center. He didn't go to the education to practice meditation. But he understood when the pain hits the bone, and he continues to practice and practice and practice, not only practice. At the same time, yin and the yang, along with the practice, he made sure how to reach to the people, his hardest labor, how he can make it polished so that it can attract the whole world. The whole world got attracted to his magnetic power. Only a person was conscious. He must have been a real Maharishi, he must have been a real saint to be that conscious. Otherwise, it is not possible. For the external world, for the materialistic world, he looks stupid. He looks this, he looks that. His private life, all the materialistic world is talking. But deep down, look at the man. And do you think it is possible? Greatest musicians were there in the world, but nobody could make it that popular. Even American presidents, the greatest people around the world, yes, he could carry them. How is that possible? Did you take an MBA, Master in Business Education? was he a scientist? Was he a research PhD holder? The greatest education in the world is watching the masters. Watching the masters is you have to work very, very hard. You have to be karma yogi. Nobody, no religion has spoken about karma yoga. And Michael Jackson must have really watched Indian karma yoga system, and he went deep inside, and he must have taken the warrior code of the Japanese to rule like a 1,000-man warrior. He must have watched it, and then he has put it into 100%. I think he never believed in 99%. It was 100 is 100. A pint of shit and a cup of vanilla ice cream never existed with Michael Jackson. People might be thinking this Guruji, Swamiji is talking about a man, materialistic world, man who has got this, that. No, you must look into this beauty. We want the beauty, we want the diamond, and this guy has got the diamond with him. Nobody understood. They all tried to push him out. The greatest education in the world is watching the masters, and he has been very conscious. How did he become very conscious? When he started hitting the bone, and he became very, very, very strong, powerfully strong to move his hands and legs and mouth together. Hands and legs and mouth, taking the whole body together. See, he's dancing and moving, and then he's singing, and taking the whole crowd. And he must have a business strategy. Powerful business strategy to maintain it up till the last day of his death. An extraordinary figure. That is the greatest education, putting it into practice. And that practice will not, you cannot buy people from the street. You have to first work very hard. That was what I was trying to tell from the last 125 short discourse. Work very, very hard, and no fat in the body, only a skeletal muscle. When it hits the skeletal muscle, when you're deep, intimate relationship with a particular subject, you are deeply in love with the subject. When you're deep in love with the subject, then you become conscious. That consciousness is very close to meditation. That consciousness is very close to divine and to the God. In that consciousness, he said, watch the master. He could watch the master. Others, everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. Some are watching the girls for sex. Some are watching for this. But people who are watching the art, they understand. Watch the masters at work. He said, not just watch in the video. He said, at work means you have to be with the master, rub shoulders with the master. Every one movement, the master's, Zen master, when the student has completed 12 years, the student went to the master and said, so many students came, they all left with so many degrees. I have been with you for 12 years, and what did you teach me? You gave me kitchen work, to clean the floor, etc., etc., etc. And what did I gain? And the master said, when you gave me coffee, did you watch the way I took? I took it so much of it. When I was walking, did you watch that I was not walking, I was floating? Yes, if you're a little conscious, the mind is conscious. Being with the master alone is enough. Just loving the master alone is enough. Watching the master at work. That was what India has been telling the Guru Shishya Parambara. And that is, the media has broken into pieces and destroyed it because they wanted this culture to be gone so that another culture can come. That's a different topic. But the man, the Michael Jackson understood. The greatest education in the world is watching the masters at work. Please watch of your master. Before you look at other masters, be conscious of your master. When you work hard in your family tree, watching the masters at work means watching your joint family, watching a family tree growing, and in that you see the God. Michael Jackson said, greatest education in the world is watching the masters at work. This is my 126th short discussion.